Okay, so tonight we have a very special group with us. They go by the name Andorra. Now, Andorra's a very special name because they got their name from a country. Now, is that right, Joel?
That's right. It's a tiny little country between France and Spain. It's about as opposite to Australia as you can get because it's way up in the mountains and it's really hilly, whereas Australia's huge, surrounded by ocean and flat. So I thought, well, if we're going to pick a name, let's think of something as opposite to what we can think of as possible. So
okay, so that's where the name come from?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. What do you think of the name?
Oh, I think it's a great name. It's smallest country, but we've got large.
Spit it out, Matt. Spit it out. Large what?
We really want to.
You want to be big. You want to be out there. You want to be known.
Small country, but we want to be.
Want to be up high.
Big.
That's
okay, so you're small at the moment, but you want to be known.
That's it. And we
still
actually
under the name of Andorra.
We got an email from the national newspaper in Andorra.
Got an email.
And they said we want to do a story on Andorra. And how did you find out about the country? And they're going to do a feature article on us in the national paper.
Now that's amazing to have a country interested in a band.
Yeah.
What more publicity could you want?
Well, they kept writing me questions that were the same question, like basically, why did you call yourself Andorra and how do you know about us? And I said, well, we actually entered in the Eurovision Song Contest a couple of years ago as Andorra, because it's a country in Europe, but they didn't write back. But
they didn't write back?
We're still trying.
Okay, so let's get to know a little bit more about you guys. How did you start?
Well, the band started off with different members. It started off with a different drummer and a different guitarist. After one album, was it one album?
An album and an EP.
We had they were looking for a keyboard player. I was playing with another rock band called Prestige at the time, and the band that I was in supported Andorra one night at the Cannon Fiddle, and then my band broke up, and they were looking at a keyboard player at that right.
In come Matt. In come Matt.
I'm looking for someone to play.
I call Matt the egg because everyone tries to poach him. You see all these people.
Oh, everyone
wants me to play.
Yeah. Well, Matt, hey, there's nothing wrong with that, especially with the ladies. Anyway, that's another story. We'll get back to that later. Now, who else is in this band of yours?
Well, there's 5 of us. So
what role do you play, Joel?
I'm the singer.
You're the singer.
So I started the band in 2003.
2003.
With the guitarist Eric Bellingham.
Okay.
And we're the co-writers of most of the songs. I come up with the words and Eric comes up with the guitar things, and then we add the extra stuff. And the 3 other members of the band last year, Matt on keyboards, Greg on bass, and Steve on drums.
Oh, cool. Okay, and let me think. Where have I heard this before? Heart on my sleeve. Now, what's that all about?
Well, in my next film clip, I actually wear this little Velcro heart on my sleeve because when I was working in China, the kids I was working with gave me this little scarf clip with a heart you wear here.
That's awesome.
But I like to wear it on my sleeve because, you know, we sing a lot about social issues.
Refuge,
and
yeah. I've listened to one. Is it Baxter?
That's right.
Yeah, I've heard Baxter. Baxter's awesome. I'm really proud of you.
Thanks.
No, it's good. And Matt, what did I want to ask you? Let's see. Now, what's coming up with you guys? Something about a rock show I heard?
Yes,
6 bands in Redfern?
Yes, it's called Rock Around the Block, and it's to raise money for a dance company. Dance studio rather, in Redfern.
Okay, and what's the dance studio's name?
I'm not quite sure.
Not quite sure?
It's for the Tony Mundine gym down there.
Okay, yeah.
They're refurbishing the bottom section to make a dance studio for the kids in the block.
Get people in there, keep them off the street, get them interested.
Yeah, get them interested and also teach them traditional dance, classical dance, and then lead on. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's sort of based on, there was a group called Black Theatre there in the 70s, which was set up to teach people acting skills and dancing skills and stuff. So it's sort of re-energising that idea so that people learn about dance when they're young and then they go on and they become involved in professional dance.
That's cool.
So the bloke who's actually working with me actually used to dance with Bangara, and he came out of that Black Theatre stuff in the 70s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what other things, what have we done to be where we are to this day in Andorra? What have we done? Tell us viewers at home what you've done so we can get to know you a bit better.
Most recently we've done a film clip that's been played on the ABC and Rage and a few other places for Baxter, and so we've been trying to, you know, at least put out a film clip every year and play enough gigs around town for people to know who we are. So, you know, we were in the band comp at the Cat and Fiddle Hotel, got into the semis there just recently.
Got close.
Got close. He was
Very
dressed up as a
close, very
hippie. I was
close.
dressed up as the Hulk. I
Yeah.
don't know what happened there. We thought we were
Yes,
on
that
a
was
winner.
an idea I
Yeah.
had. I don't know if it was a great idea, but you know, it was
was
a lot of
fun.
fun,
It
and
was
you know,
fun.
I was trying, you know, just for a bit of interest, you know, dress up and really, you know.
No,
get
there's
the
nothing wrong
audience
with that.
in.
Give the people what they want, entertainment.
But that's it.
Oh,
You
that's
know, in the
need
next
to
clip,
entertain.
I'm going to be dressed up as a tomato getting chased by a girl in a bikini. So
You're not that girl in a bikini, are you, Matt?
No.
Oh, well, that's
I think
alright.
Matt's going to be dressed up as a Hawaiian banana. I think.
Lucky you, Matt. Everyone wants to be a
Absolutely.
banana sooner or later in life.
Absolutely.
Okay, so before we get to your film clip, is there anything that you want to tell your viewers at home about? Is maybe where we can catch yous, or a website maybe?
Yes. If people want to check out the music, they can go to andorramusic.com.au, and I'll spell that out. That's ANDORRAMUSIC.com.au. Go to tunes, and there's about 6 tunes there that you can download and listen to the MP3s. Got a couple of shows coming up. There's a fundraiser for Actively Radical TV, which is one of the shows on TVS on the 29th of April at Addison Road Community Centre in Marrickville. And there's also Rock the Block from 1 till 6 on the 6th of May. And there's going to be Combat Wombat, Aussie Battler from The Herd, YRMC, Tactics and Science, Jesse Morris, who plays John Butler kind of stuff,
Oh, yeah,
a couple
cool,
of other acoustic artists, dancers. Going to be a whole day. And we're going to be playing about 3 o'clock with all these other acts, hip-hop acts, acoustic acts, rock acts.
So a bit of everything.
Bit of everything. Come along. It's Everleigh Street, Redfern, just opposite the train station there. Entry by donation. Also, there's going to be film screening there. Heaps of stuff going on.
Wow, that's great. One last thing before we go. Does the name Peter Garrett ring a bell?
Peter Garrett?
Dave Graney, does that ring a bell, Matt?
Yes.
I've heard he has a very high regards towards your band, sorry.
Well, if there's any other bands out there, one of our pieces of advice is send your stuff out and ask people what they think of it. One of the things that we do is we think of people that, you know, are in the same sort of genre as us, who might play a similar sort of music. We send our CDs to them. We say, you know, if you've got time, tell us what you think. And Peter Garrett wrote to us and said, go for it. Ex-lead singer of Red Gum said he really liked it. Dave Graney said he thought it was really cool. Sally Dasty from Titters said she thought it was grouse. You know, so it gives us motivation to
I'll
know.
tell you someone else too. Kieran Jordan thought it was fabulous.
Kieran Jordan.
There you go. Kieran Jordan thought it was fabulous.
There you go. You know, just the biggest names, the biggest stars.
That's it.
They say Andorra's tops, you know?
It is top. So get out there, check their website, plug it one more time for us.
andorramusic.com.au.
Until next week, catch you later.
At the arsehole of the earth, here are the annals of power. About your detention center, your anal retention center. You're detained from compassion, you're detained from peace of mind, you're detained from belonging, hot pocket, pockets line. Baxter! Expel centenarian. Baxter! Impel the mentally ill. Baxter! Then send them a billion to sealed. Lips are so tight. Visa policy. Where is your original key? Without a teacher ringer, you've no right to degree. Or if you so-called refuge storm landing on these shores, lest they steal your golden goose from your rigor mortis paws. Baxter! Divide husband and wife. Baxter! Split mother and child. Baxter! Raise wide, razor wide, young concealed. Lives are so tight. You're detained from compassion, you're detained from peace of mind, you're detained
This letter came from Baxter, and today, to talk about his band, Andorra, I'm joined by Joel and Eric, and they've got a song about Baxter, so we're going to take a look at a film clip. But before we do, I'd like to welcome you both, Joel and Eric. Thanks for being with us. And what should we be listening for, Joel, when we take a look at your film clip?
The song talks about immigration policy in Australia over recent times and the treatment of refugees, and a lot of things that have happened to refugees in detention centres since the Howard government came in '96.
At the arsehole of the earth, here are the annals of power about your detention centre, your anal retention centre. You're detained from compassion, you're detained from peace of mind, you're detained from belonging, hot pocket, pockets line. Baxter! Expel centenarian. Baxter! Impel the mentally ill. Baxter! Then send them a billion to sealed. There's us so tight. Visa policy. Where is your original deed? Without a teacher ringer, you've no right to decree. Or if you so-called refuge from landing on these shores, lest they steal your golden goose from your rigamontus paws. Baxter! Divide husband and wife. Baxter! Split mother and child. Baxter! Raise behind razor wire, young concealed. There's are so tight. You're detained from compassion, you're detained from peace of mind, you're detained from belonging, half of market pockets lie. Baxter! Jail victims of war. Baxter! And political prisoners. Baxter! They break their legs, your lips are. Baxter! Young boys dig their own grave. Baxter! Beaten by prison guards. Baxter! And then send them a billion to sealed. There's up so tight.
And welcome back to the studio. Today we're joined by Joel and Eric from Andorra, and we're discussing Baxter, refugees and music. Hi, welcome back to you both.
Thanks.
Joel and Eric. Okay, tell us about Andorra, tell us about the band. Eric.
Well, we've been going about 3 years now, and I can still remember seeing an ad in the paper for a guitarist. I went round to Joel's place and just happened to take my guitar with me, and we sat down and see how it would go. 10 minutes later we had our first song. I just couldn't believe it. And so every Sunday I would go around, we'd sit in this little room out the back with revolutionaries on the wall and plants growing in the window and out the door. I thought this was amazing. And every week we had a new song, and we got it up to about 8 songs. I thought, we've got to do something with this. So we recorded an EP, just the two of us at that stage. After that was pressed, we started getting some airplay, and we thought, we've got to put a band together. So we went looking for the rest of the members. Matt and those guys hadn't turned up yet. This was the first incarnation of the band. And we've been playing around Sydney probably every month for the last 3 years.
Excellent. In a minute I'm going to take up the issue of the Baxter theme with Joel, but those first couple of songs that you made reference to, did they have a social, political edge to them, or were they more general?
That was the elements of Joel's lyrics that really impressed me right from the start. He seemed to write about everything that you wouldn't expect, and it's really interesting. I've been studying lyrics for years, and I think the first one was Weapons of Mass Seduction. And when we'd finished it, I went home and I rang him back and I said, "That is Weapons of Mass Seduction, wasn't it?" He said, "Yes," and that's typical of Joel's style, where he really takes words and plays with them and makes it very entertaining, as well as a bit of education and making people aware of just things that are going on around us.
Excellent.
I wanted to write something that would list what's happened in detention centres and make people aware just of the gravity of the way people have been treated, the way it's split up families, and the physical and psychological abuse that people have been subjected to since this type of immigration policy has been in place.
The images that you've used there in the film clip, tell us about why you've chosen very obvious images.
Well, we were fortunate enough when we were putting a film clip together to get in contact with some organisations like Refugee Action Collective in Sydney. And we invited people who have an interest in making a point about immigration policy to come along and dance in the clip. And through the Refugee Action Collective, we're actually able to get some footage of protests at Baxter. So in that, when people see the clip as they've watched it, you can see that not only are the people mistreated inside the detention centre, but also people who are expressing their support for them as well are treated in such a roughhouse way. So the images are very striking, and they show just how the government accepts public opinion about supporting refugees.
So was that an intentional juxtaposition there? You had the images that you've used, that you've contrived. There was a piano player wearing a police outfit, yourself in an orange overall outfit, and then you have the real footage that was taken at obviously demonstrations at Baxter.
Yeah, so we dressed up in character to make a point about the different people, different groups involved in what's going on in immigration. So prisoners and policemen and detainees in Australia or overseas, whether they be Australian or from other countries.
Just tell us quickly about some of the lyrics, some of the key words that we use there.
Sure. Well, the song makes a comparison between Indigenous justice issues and treatment of refugees. So one of the verses actually talks about what's called a tijaringa, which is a message stick or a title deed that people had to have prior to Europeans coming in here. And if you travelled from one part of Australia to another, you got given literally a deed to travel across a certain part of land. But the English were never granted a title deed. So the song raises the question, if the Australian government doesn't have native title or was never given permission to actually occupy Australia, who has the right to decide who comes in here and who doesn't?
We're going to cut now and have a look at some more performance that you're involved in, and when we come back I'd like to take up more generally the theme of performance and the role of music and other mediums in motivating young people to get involved and raising awareness and things. So we'll have a look at another performance by Joel and we'll be back shortly.
To the end of time, said he'll make his secret like a frigging beat. Love the ground, oh, all beneath my feet. The world is round, oh, like a frigging beat.
Welcome back to the studio. We're talking about music and its role in motivating young people to get involved in campaigns such as refugee issues. Welcome back, Joel and Eric. Okay, the experience of making the clip, the whole process that you went through in putting it together, how has it influenced you?
Issues tend to be over there and sort of pocketed in a group of people. And I'm finding the more I get involved in Baxter and these issues that raises, the less you can push it away, and it must become part of your life. And that's what's happening with me. I'm getting much more involved in studying both sides of any issue and seeing where the balance is.
The clip in terms of the mainstream recording companies and things like that, is it going to be received because it has that little bit of an edge to it?
It's more challenging, of course, to get played on commercial radio, but we're really grateful for the support of community TV and community radio and alternative media, so that we can build up a profile and try and get broader exposure from there. So as far as the EP goes to Baxter, we've had quite a bit of airplay around Australia with the song already. Music
such as yourself, or such as what you produce yourself, or other types of music that are similar, what role does it have in captivating people?
Becoming more aware of the issue by becoming involved in the music is the way that it has an effect on people. By being focused, by presenting something that people enjoy, you can actually encourage other people to either explore their own music or explore the ideas that you're singing about or talking about as well.
What do you derive personally yourselves out of sitting down particularly when there's an issue that you want to do something about, you feel frustrated, some people write a letter, for example. What do you derive personally out of the whole process of putting out a song? It's
a bit like, I think it was Keith Richards that drew the analogy that it just comes to you, and that's the satisfaction I get, that you go in, you've got nothing, and when you come out, you've created something, and that's probably my main motivation or force. I love that creativity of making something out of nothing.
Well, look, it's been great to have you both in and hearing about your project, and of course hearing about your political views and the motivation and the inspiration to put an alternative message out to that which we hear in the mainstream constantly. So thanks again, Eric.
Thank you.
And Joel, thanks for being with us, and we're going to be taken out by one of Joel's Andorra's performances.
Yeah.
Sounds of thunder, what is it to you? He shall not die. I hate the beats. I hate the beats, baby. I hate the beats. I hate the beats, baby. She's fire inside of me. Something whose echoes drowns out the rattle. I hate the beats. I hate the beats, baby. I hate the beats. I hate the beats, baby. I hate the beats. I am the eater of beats. I eat the beats. I am the eater of beats. I eat the beats. I am the eater of beats. I eat the beats. I eat the beats. I am the eater of beats. I eat the beats. I am the eater of beats. I eat the beats. I am the eater of beats. I eat the beats.